Hello everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Welcome to the Useful Conga Composer Parameters webinar. This webinar is a part of our ongoing series of live webinars. Conga Composer has well over 100 parameters available to help you customize your solutions. This webinar will introduce you to some of the most popular and useful of those parameters. I'm Teresa Bowerly, and I'll be the presenter for today's session. Before we get started, let's do a little housekeeping. The entire webinar is slated to last for about 30 minutes, including 5 minutes for Q&A at the end. We have a lot of registrants, so everyone's phones will be on mute. If you do have questions, please submit them online. We will answer as many questions as we can during the session. Any questions that we do not get to, we'll post to our knowledge base. The webinar is being recorded, and we'll make the recording available within a few days on our YouTube channel as well as in our knowledge base. So let's get started. For today's session, we're going to make a couple of assumptions. First, we're going to assume that you're a Salesforce admin, so you're familiar with creating buttons and reports. We're also going to assume that you've created a Conga Composer button. We're going to review this list of Conga Composer parameters. We're going to walk through and test out each behavior of these options here. So let's head over to Salesforce. Conga Composer is designed to work with both standard and custom objects. Today we're going to go ahead and work from our contact record here for Rory McElroy. For today's session, I've already created a Conga Composer button for us to use. It's called Conga Parameters. So first I'm going to run just a basic Conga solution here just to kind of show you how everything works without adding the parameters we're going to add later in today's session. So I'm just going to run a quick merge here. And here's the Conga dialog. And it's gathering all the data from Rory's contact record. So as you can see in this window, there are many different options you can automatically adjust yourself when you're in here. You can enable notes and attachments. You can choose your action. There's a lot of different functionalities you can do manually on your own. But one of the great things about using Conga Composer parameters is that it can help you automate this process. So every time you run your solution, it can kind of be working on its own and requiring less steps for you to manage the process. So I'm going to close out of here and we'll go ahead and look at the buttons. We'll go ahead and look at the button that I have created for today's session. Let's go ahead and look at that behind the scenes. So I'm going to go to Setup. We'll go to Customize. And we'll go to Contacts and Buttons and Links. And then I'm going to go ahead and find our Conga parameter button. As I mentioned in the slides earlier, here's the list of parameters we're going to be covering today. We'll walk through each parameter and discuss how it can help change the behavior and further automate your Conga solution. So the first parameter I want to talk about is ampersand template ID. So this parameter allows you to name the template you are specifying to Conga to use when you run your solution. When you're using this parameter, you have the option to add up to 10 different template IDs. So the first thing we need to do is go ahead and grab a template ID. To grab your template ID, you must have some templates stored in the Conga Template Manager. So you can get to the Conga Template Manager up top here, or you can also access it by going to the All Tabs menu here. So let's go ahead and click in there and grab a template ID that we want to use for our solution. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab this PGA welcome letter. So we've got this template stored in here, and I'm just going to take the template ID. By grabbing this template ID and pasting it here into the parameter and in our solution, we're specifying to Conga that we want Conga to grab this specific template ID every time we run our solution. As I mentioned earlier, you can add up to 10 different template IDs for Conga to use. When using template ID, you do have the option to actually give the template ID a name. And this is helpful, like I said, if you use up to the 10 different template IDs, this will be helpful to specify which templates you are using. So to do that, we're going to go ahead and just add an alias for that template ID. So just do a bracket, and then we'll go ahead and type PGA letter, and then close the bracket. So now we know that this template ID is connected to our PGA letter. So you'll notice I use the plus sign when typing in the name. That's to indicate that there should be a space there. We are working in a URL, and typing in a physical space could cause a 404 error. So we use that plus sign to indicate there should be a space. All right, so let's go ahead and do a quick save and test out this behavior that we just created. So we're going to do a quick save. We'll go back to our contact record here. I'm just going to do a quick refresh, and then I'm going to run our solution. So Conga is gathering all the data. So as you can see, Conga specified and grabbed this specific PGA welcome letter template, inputted that template ID into our URL earlier. All right, so let's go ahead and just download and just generate our document here. So here's our letter right here. We'll open it up. And there you have it. It's our PGA letter we specified Conga to grab when generating the document. Great. Let's head back to our button and further explore some more parameters. I'm going to close this window, and we'll go back to our button here. The next set of parameters that I'd like to talk about have to do with Google Drive integration. Conga Composer now integrates with Google Drive, so it's making it possible to create and deploy Conga Composer solutions completely in the cloud. So you have the option to create Google Docs, Google Sheets, or Google Slides. You also can store any generated output file, such as Microsoft Office, PDF, or Google Docs, Sheets, or Slides, directly into Google Drive. So first, we're going to start with &SC0. This parameter allows us or enables us the option to save a copy. So to do this, we have to turn this parameter on by setting it equal to 1. All right, then we have &SC1. This allows us to define where a copy of the output file should be stored. In our case, we want to use Google, but you also have the option to store an output file in Attachments, Content, Chatter, SpringCM, and Google. So to do this, you just simply type in the location you want. So for our case, it's Google. All right, let's go ahead and do a quick save. And then we'll go back to our contact record here, do a quick refresh, and then we're going to go ahead and run our solution. So now things will look a little different in our dialog here. So now that we've turned on the Save a Copy to Google, you now see that that's been pre-selected and enabled for us by just using those parameters. So we didn't have to adjust that when we got in here. So let's go ahead and select the option to download, and then we'll select Merge and Download. So when you're using Google, Conga prompts you to log into your Google account. So when you're first running this option with Google Drive, you're going to be prompted to log in, and this is what it'll look like. So I'm just going to go ahead and add our account here, or I'm just going to go ahead and log in. Alright, so I'm going to log in here, and now you can see Conga is going to generate our document, and it's going to save a copy for us in our Google Drive instance. So here's our letter here. So now we'll go ahead and go into our Gmail account. Again, so we'll have to just log in, or it actually just logged us in. And by default, if you do not have a specific folder set up in your Google Drive, Conga is going to create its own folder to store your document in. So I'm going to go to Google Drive, and there you have it. So Conga created a Google Documents folder. So if you don't have one specified, it's going to create that Conga Documents folder, and then inside it's going to store a copy of the letter that you just asked it to save a copy to. So that's pretty cool. It's a pretty easy option when you're wanting to use Google Drive. Alright, let's head back to our parameters and further explore some other options. So I'm going to just close that really quick, close that, and I'm going to go back to our button here. Okay, so now that we've learned a little bit about storing or saving a copy into Google Drive, let's talk about the parameter Google Visible. Google Visible enables Google as an output option. It will create a Google Doc. By setting this equal to 1, we will tell Conga to generate our document as a Google Doc. So let's do a quick save. We'll go back to our contact record. I'll go ahead and refresh since we're making some changes, and run our Conga solution. So now you can see that the output options, the action, has already been selected as Google Docs. So let's go ahead and merge our Google Docs. So Conga's gathering the data and it's going to generate a Google Doc for us. And sometimes this takes a minute. Great. So let's go ahead and go back into our Google Drive, do a quick refresh, and there you can see there is our Google Doc, the PGA letter. So if we click on that there, you can see it's created a Google Doc for us rather than storing our Word template. Alright, so that's a pretty cool option. Let's go ahead and go back to our existing button we're working from today. Alright, let's go further down the list. So now that we don't need to create a Google Visible document anymore at this time, I'm just going to clear out those parameters. The next set of parameters that I'd like to talk about are our activity logging parameters. Conga Composer allows you to log activities within Salesforce. For example, if we're on Rory's contact record here, we scroll down, you see we have open activities or activity history. So by using the activity logging parameters, Conga allows you to log an activity and also create a follow-up task. To do this, you first have to enable the activity logging option. So by using ampersand AC0, if we set that equal to 1, that's going to turn on our activity logging option. And then by using ampersand AC, this allows you to set the subject of the activity. So let's go ahead and call this sent PGA letter to, and just insert name here. And again, as I mentioned earlier, use the plus signs to indicate that there should be a spacing. We are working in a URL, so by typing in a physical space, that could cause a 404 error. Alright, so now that we've created a subject for the task we would like to log, you also have the option to create a follow-up task. By using ampersand AC3, this allows you to set up a follow-up task in days. So by just specifying the number of days that you want the follow-up to occur, that will create a task for you. So let's just say 7 days from now, we want to go ahead and confirm with Rory that he did receive his letter. And then finally, you have the option to create a subject for that follow-up task. So I'm just going to call it confirmation. Alright, let's do a quick save and go back to Rory's contact record. We're going to go ahead and refresh. Alright, so let's go ahead and run the full Conga routine so we can get those activities logged below in our activity history. So I am just going to generate the document here. Just going to go ahead and merge it just to run that full routine so Conga knows knows to follow the instructions we're giving it via the parameters. So I'm going to close this and then do a quick refresh. So now if we scroll down to our open activities and activity history, you can see here's the activity we just logged. We just ran our merge routine. So it logged that we sent a PGA letter to Rory with today's date. And then it also created a follow-up task for us called confirmation, and the task is set to occur in 7 days from now. Alright, so that's just a little bit of what those activity logging parameters can do. let's go ahead and go back to our button here and keep going down our list. So the next set of parameters I'd like to talk about are our master field to set parameters. Conga allows you to update fields within Salesforce. This is kind of a cool feature. So, for example, I've got a field created here called member status, and it's currently set to new. So let's go ahead and clear that out since we're going to be using it here, and we'll go ahead and save. So as you notice, there was a pick list option for the member status, new, existing, and prospecting. But let's say, every time you run the solution, you want to be able to have each of your contacts' member statuses updated. You can tell Conga to do this by setting the specific master field to set parameters. So if we go back to our button here, to be able to use this feature, we first need to turn on the field updating parameters. To do that, you use ampersand uf0 equals and set that equal to 1. So that's telling Conga that we want the option to update our fields when we run our solution. Then we have master field to set. So one thing you do need to do is you need to specify to Conga which field it is you want to be updated when you run your solution. To do that, we need to grab the API field name. So I'm going to go up here and go to Setup, and we're going to go find the API field name. So we'll go to Customize, we'll go to Contacts, and then we'll go to Fields. So I created a custom field for this, and it's called Member Status. So I'm going to copy this API field name here, and then I'm going to go back to our button and paste it here. Alright, so now we've turned on the master field to set options, and we specified what field we want updated on our contact record. And then finally, we just need to tell Conga what it is that we want to be updated when we run this solution. So we know we're updating the so we know we're updating the member status field, but now we need to tell Conga what it is we want it updated with. So in our case, let's just go ahead and type new, since Roy's a new member of our club. So we're typing new, and that's going to populate that field for us. Let's do a quick save and test out this behavior. So we'll go back to Rory's contact record, and again, I'm just going to do a quick refresh, and then as you can see, this is the field that we're hoping to update when we run our Conga solution. So again, we just want to run a full Conga merge routine, just so Conga knows to follow the instructions that we're giving it. And we'll go ahead and just run it here. Alright, so I'm going to close this and then do a quick refresh. And now you can see our member status has been updated for us for new. Alright, that's a pretty cool option. Let's head back and review the final section of parameters. Our final list I'd like to talk about today are the email to or email template ID parameters. So the email to parameters specifies the contact you want the email option to be sent to. So in our case, I just want to send this email to Rory. So you can do that by just grabbing that contact ID here. So we're going to copy this here, and we'll paste it in the parameter for email to ID. Then we have the option to specifically have Conga select a specific template we want it to use every time. To do this, we need to grab the email template ID. So we'll go to Setup, and now we'll go down to Communication Templates. And then we'll select Email Templates. So you can see we have a bunch of templates stored in here. I'm just going to grab the PGA letter. So as I mentioned earlier, all we need from this is just that template ID. So it's just these digits here in the middle. You can double click it and it will select them. And we'll go back to our button and paste it there. So now we have a specific template we're telling Conga to use. And then finally, let's just say that you want to throw on an additional contact that you don't have stored into Salesforce. But this person should be copied on every email that you do send out. You can do so by just using that email. You can do so by using the ampersand email additional to. So we'll just call this team.rory@pga.com. Alright, let's go ahead and do a save. And let's go ahead and test out the email behaviors we just told Conga to create for us. So we'll go back to Rory's contact record, we'll do a quick refresh, and then we'll go ahead and run our Conga parameters here. Now you can see that our action has been set to email for us. So let's go ahead and merge an email. Alright, so the email has been set up to send to Rory. It also grabbed the additional 2 email address, and then it grabbed our specific template we told it to grab, and then it's attached our specific letter we asked Conga to generate for us. Alright, so that's pretty cool. So that's just some of the email options you have available when using Conga Composer. Okay, great. I'm going to go ahead and go back to my PowerPoint and just look to see what kind of questions we might have received during the session today. Alright, so let's review some questions we received. One question is, where can I find a list of the Conga Composer parameters? Great question. On our support page, you do have access to our knowledge base. And within our knowledge base, we do have a specific article created for Conga Composer parameters. It's called the Index of Conga Composer Parameters. And on that index, you'll have access to over 150 parameters available for you to use for Conga Composer. You can search these parameters by the title of the parameter or by the specific behavior. Once you click into that, you'll have access to see what each parameter does and how its behavior will affect your solution. And someone's asking, again, how many template IDs can you use in your solution? So if we go back to our button here, so there's specifically talking about the template IDs here. You can actually use up to 10 different template IDs. And what you'll do is you'll just go ahead and put a comma behind the template ID and then simply paste in your template ID. And you can also use, again, like we did up here, you can use an alias to specify which template ID that you are using. So I think that's all the time we have for now for our questions. Before we end today, I wanted to point out some helpful resources. On our Conga support page, you have access to all of these different tabs that are super helpful when you're kind of just getting started with Conga. We have some quick start guides, documentation, a webinar archive where today's session will be posted along with the questions and answers that we had for today's session. We also have some just tutorial videos, so I encourage you to check out our Conga support page. And this webinar is a part of our ongoing webinar series. Some of our other webinars that we do every Tuesday are getting started with Conga Composer, creating word templates, what can I do with Conga, and in that session we actually had invited some of our alliance partners to do a short presentation on some of their best Conga use cases, so that one's a pretty good one to sign up for in the near future. We also do Conga Composer, e-signature solutions, and many more, so just be sure to check out our support page and review the webinar schedule for upcoming webinars. And every other Wednesday we do try to do an advanced topic, so watch out for those as well. And then finally, as always, thanks again for your time today. We hope you enjoyed this session on Conga Useful Parameters, and we hope you have a great day.